Hey, we're live now, so I just want to warn you.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I always appreciate the heads up.
We'll call the meeting to order for the Angola Investment Fund for October 21st, 2024. Call the order attendance is Mark.
Here.
Maria.
Here.
Kyle. Sandy.
Here.
Isaac.
Here.
Jerry. And Andy will be joining us ASAP to get things moving for us. I know we didn't really have an agenda this time, and I think part of it was Retha's out sick right now too. And I talked to her today, and she didn't sound good. And but she did tell me over the phone that she put these binders together. I think that Andy had asked for. I thought it'd be good for us to meet, even though Kyle couldn't make it today, to get these in our hands to review. Because I'm kind of I'm chomping at the bit a little bit like you guys are, probably trying to figure out where we go. And after next Friday, I'll have more time to do things. So it'll be a long winter, so we'll see how that goes. Thought we'd take a quick look at the binder first of all. Well, let's start with what Ryan gave us here. Then we'll look at the binder. This is an update on Foods Alive and their particular loan that they have outstanding, and you can see where they are. The highlighted section is where they are in the process of repayment, and everything looks very kosher there. So happy to see all that going. And then the front page, I guess, is
looks like total balance of that.
Okay. Total balances. Okay, very good. So you can see where we are there. Policies and procedures. One of the things I think we want to kind of look at, we have a new version, don't we? I thought we had one. And did we update that a couple of years ago? Well, we started to.
That's the one where we're starting to update. In the red line version, I don't know that we have approved it, but in the red line version,
That's right.
we took out basic codes. The application fee was increased slightly. We talked about one of the long terms because it specifically said at least 20 years. So there was some red line that we had talked about. I just don't show us approving it. That was done on July 29th of 2024.
And that wasn't the last time we met, but I remember now. Thank you. Anybody have any inquiries on any comments about the packet or where we should go with it?
I'm glad that we have it.
Besides reading it cover to cover.
Right. That is true. It is nice. I don't know about you, but I have some papers in one notebook and then another notebook, and then this will be nice for convenience sake too, to keep everything together. So I think what we need to discuss is where do we go now? From here, we've talked about different ideas of getting the word out, but in my talks with Retha, and I think we were of the consensus, we got to get everything, policies and procedures finalized and presented to the board and approved before we know everything's official, before we start talking about the changes to people that were made. I think, is that kind of what we're thinking?
I think,
Go ahead.
no, I was just thinking that because we were talking about, at the last meeting, we were talking about the commercial loan and getting all the the procedures in place.
Right.
So if that's what you're talking about, yeah,
Yes.
that's what we had talked about before, getting those procedures in place, we could present those.
Am I right, or I probably misunderstood, but I thought somebody, I don't even know who it was, somebody was gonna kind of draw up a preliminary, hey, this is what we want did I just dream that?
No, I had started working on some, but kicked it back to this group at our last meeting because there were areas of that I couldn't address from my angle. I needed perspectives. I had mentioned you, I had mentioned Maria from small business.
Okay.
So a part of that was done, yeah. Or still being done.
Does that answer the question though? Is that kind of our next step? Is to try to put something,
I think put something together and figure out what we want to do with that and then decide about, with that, decide, how much allocation
Mm-hmm.
we would like to present to council to decide, if that's going to be something that they would, would want to do.
Okay.
do you agree, Isaac? That's kind of the next,
Yeah, I'm trying to see by date stamp. I have one that I touched. It's the red line with the additional programs on 8/13 of 2024. So where we started to work on that. So that would supersede, well, you have to vote on it, but it would supersede this one.
And we don't have that in the packet though, do we?
No,
Yeah.
I can send that out again. But it's to Mark.
The red line.
Yeah.
Yeah,
The AIF traditional loan program, which is what we've talked about recently, there was a section of that we called the AIF commercial retail loan program, similar to what was done with retail grants during COVID, NOCRA, but on the loan side. And then the AIF entrepreneurial loan grant program, which we've just never really called it anything. So it had those three in it.
I feel like, and maybe I'm wrong, but I feel like if we get copies of that and we sit in a meeting like this and we kind of cover it, we could very quickly determine that, yeah, it shouldn't say that, it should say this, or what if it says this, and we could potentially even vote on it and get the thing approved if everybody agrees.
I agree with that.
I will send that out to all parties based on Jerry or this afternoon.
Okay, thank you. Would we work on that? Well, I guess we have to work on that in a open meeting, wouldn't we?
You can work on edits and things, not during open session, but a final draft needs to be presented and then voted on, which then ultimately goes to the council.
Okay.
The council would have to vote on anything to do.
Very good. Anyone, I'm not sure exactly, Andy didn't talk to me about anything he wanted to really cover, but is there anything that has come up or since our last meeting that we should be made aware of? I don't know. Anybody be approached by businesses at all yet?
I continue to have conversations on every BRE I attend.
What is their reception? Are they
Most have, when there's a pinch on money availability, particularly, for instance, at the banks, our mechanism becomes favorable. But Mark, correct me if I'm wrong, there's not a pinch for money right now.
There's not a pinch, but if I guess if we, meaning all of us, are doing our job, it's just a better structure.
Mhm.
What we offer is just a better structure.
Yes.
We meaning you. So
So
we ought to be able to, I said it before, and I've told Tim this too, anytime somebody applies, we ought to at least be thinking, let's talk to Isaac because he's got cheaper money.
And keep in mind, right now, we have to work under what's currently approved in 2016.
That's true.
So I can't do anything outside of those NASIC codes. So we can talk about it, but until the other programs are officially created and adopted, It's all talk. There's no way around the ordinance or the policies to be able to lend out money to anything outside of those NAICS codes.
And getting those NAICS code changed is we could do that in 30 days, probably 60 days.
Yeah, it's basically that's what we were trying to do with the red line, is we were trying to get those NAICS codes removed, broaden the base, not create additional programs, but that was just one element, broaden that base so that it would come to us. Other entities potentially could come to us.
And then council.
And then council would all have to ultimately approve it. I think there's still an equal argument there for commercial and retail. Because the programs, the guts of the program, the ordinance itself still talks heavily about industrial, which is why we were trying to create those other programs within it. Say, these are emphases of ours too.
I think we wanted to broaden the language so that it could potentially be more facile in the future as things change.
Right.
I think that's what we were going
And I
for.
recall even having conversations maybe with this group or individuals that, the current industrial revolving loan fund threshold, the max is 100,000. So on the commercial side, is it something less than that, 50 or 25? It could be equally as impactful, just, built around their economy. So all those things were starts of the conversation that then opened the door, Jerry, to, I think to your point, of being able to get it out to a broader group.
Okay.
But right now, we're all bound by the policies and the ordinance that's approved, which in this case, if you just use the date stamp at the bottom, that's from 2016. That's all.
If we make these changes to the policy, off the top of your head, I can't think of anything the council would have an issue with. Do you? Just, no, they won't like that. No, they won't.
I
Jumps
think,
out at me.
I don't think anything jumps out that's too concerning other than on the entrepreneurial side. We never did articulate how we would replenish those funds. Because at some point a grant will run out. Well, how do you build that back up? Is it, a portion of the interest that's coming from the other two sources? Is it another means that city council decides to put money into the pot? I don't have those answers.
Kind of like the idea of even smaller loans to businesses and even, small business, but they're loans. So that way we get that recouped in some way. Grants are great, in emergencies and.
Yeah, I mean, you look
Times are tough.
at this one. What did it say? Total interest right now collected?
Right,
It's a sizable amount at 2%.
it is.
So,
That's,
but again, it's a bigger amount. You wouldn't see that on the commercial side or retail side, because if they're smaller notes, you're not going to see that percent. And that way it comes into Mark's world of saying, okay, well, because it's smaller amounts and maybe more risky, do we change the interest rates? I mean, this is where the guidance from the group has to be prevailing.
yeah. It'll always be, right, 2% over prime.
No, the way the ordinance is
Or under,
2% under. Yeah.
2% under.
The original program, yes. I think there's a debate there that could happen to where if you're creating a sub-program underneath it, you may be able to distinguish, well, in this program underneath it, we can go maybe a different route.
Okay.
Instead of 2%, maybe it's 1%. All up to this group at that point.
Well, if Prime's 8, these loans would be at 6. We just don't see a lot. We don't see a lot under $100,000 on the commercial side. So, I've told Tim, anything under $100,000, we just need to be calling you and let you take a first shot at it.
Yep. If I had the other programs created, be easier.
So the other programs, if we all make our notes and meet as a working group, can we do it by the end of the week?
I won't be able to, coming back from the leadership conference, but that doesn't stop you guys from making notes. I
And
can
then
play catch up.
Then we can give them to you. I mean, we talk about stuff every meeting and we're not moving
Moving
forward.
forward, yeah.
I'd rather wait till next week or whenever, if we're going to meet as a group. I'd rather you be here. Personally.
I'll be here. I'm just, what Sandy had asked, I know I'm not going to be able to get the time I want into it by the end of the week. Got a board meeting this week. I got some other follow-up just being out all last week. I mean, you've got, at least you're ahead of the group. You've got the paper copy.
I can send everybody what I sent you,
Yeah,
because that's got links.
That
so
will
they can
start,
look that
yeah.
up.
I think I probably have it, don't I?
Well, what I sent Isaac is the links to the state, because the state is still doing their small business.
yeah,
loans.
the Okra stuff.
Yeah, still using, doing the same thing. So, except it's just a flat loan, it's not,
Yeah.
it's not a grant anymore. So all that paperwork is still out there. So that paperwork that we used during the AIF Okra loan, that can still be looked at. And I've set out in that paper, the stuff that I sent to Isaac, the amounts that people had to be paid in order to qualify and all that kind of, their employees and all that stuff. So that's in there and you can look at that. It's the same thing as the state's running right now, pretty much.
Deal.
Yeah, I think we should take a look at the red line document that I sent out, Sandy's got. There's just a few sections in there that need to be a little bit more robust.
Okay.
So really
And I think
figuring,
we're close. I honestly do.
so figuring out in broad language that we do want to have a commercial retail loan and saying that out loud, getting rid of the NASIC codes, and then allocating a percentage or deciding how much money should go into that commercial.
I think that's the
retail.
crux of it. Again, remember, we started on this road of the policies because we needed to get rid of venture, elevate venture. And then it's like, anytime you touch a document like this or bylaws, I'm like, well, we might as well do all the changes because you don't want to keep bringing it back to the body to make changes. So that's how it got all convoluted.
So could we look at the document and send our thoughts to Isaac
Copy the whole group so everybody can weigh in.
so everybody can weigh in? If we can get through to Maria.
Yeah, I can, if you're having problems, I can change my email. I've had like a million emails.
Just gonna add you to my
for
white
that.
list, I guess.
Yes.
My approved senders.
Yeah, I'll send that to everybody. So those are pretty much the three things that we have to decide on if we're gonna just like work on it and kick it out.
Yeah, you bring up a good point on the other one program, because in my mind, the entrepreneurial program already exists. It follows the same footprint as AIF's traditional loan program. The commercial loan program could follow the same format too. So you wouldn't really have to come up with a new application. You might label it differently or put a checkbox in, which one are you applying for, kind of thing.
How are you classifying the difference? What's the difference between an entrepreneur and a small business owner?
Well, in our eyes, the entrepreneurial program is a grant.
Oh.
That's the pilot program that we started, that we funded a few projects out of. So that's the difference. It's like, one's a grant, not getting paid back. We've already given money away. And the other's going to, but we really didn't have the program created. So
Such a good program. In my opinion, we ought to do it as a loan.
the grant one,
Well, as many as we can.
yeah.
I mean,
I don't
we get the money back.
Yeah.
Plus, plus a
The
little bit
next
of interest. Yeah.
Yep. I don't disagree one bit. So
We'll go ahead and we'll take a look at that and put it through a group email and everybody can see what everybody else weighs in with. And that way we'll have that information when we meet, I guess, next month, right? And we can move forward with it and hopefully get this to council before the end of the year possibly.
that would be perfect.
Okay. Let's shoot for that. So I know we don't meet unless it's December, we don't meet. And I think we should all kind of contact Kyle and Andy too, let them know what of course they can see the meeting too, I guess, but, and ask us, but we'll make sure they agree with what we're thinking. And like I said, I know Andy was going to try to make it, but I don't think he's going to be here. So anything, so that's number one priority. Retha was gonna try to update those little flyer things too. I mean, but again, we can't do that until we know what the particulars are, so.
I did have a conversation with a former board member that claims there is a business on Woolard Street that wants to borrow $100,000, according to the information that I have up to this point.
And is anyone on the board aware of
Who that is?
who that might be?
Who told him? Or who the business is?
Who the business is?
I got a pretty good guess in the first one. I don't.
Okay,
I'll go back through my emails or text and see if I can see what business it was.
if you let me know, I'll
Yeah.
then go ahead and make a contact with that person and probably give him Isaac's information. Well, we have some information to give him now. So,
I remember him saying that there was a couple of businesses he was working with, but he was pretty secretive about who they were.
It's all cloak and dagger, you know.
Yeah.
okay, well, we'll await your research.
Well, keep in mind, and this is recorded, so it's a great reference. The application itself is online. So the applicant doesn't have to come directly to any one of the board members.
Okay.
They can fill out the application online, so the city of Angola's website as well as mine. That was by design, so that individuals would have access to it. So,
Oh, yeah, so maybe they didn't get that information or if they did.
Could have been withheld.
Yeah, yeah. All things are possible. Is there any other business that you can think of at this point in time? No, we have our task ahead of us, one task at least, and that'll be an important one for us. Because I think we've talked to people about the program. Oh, really? Oh, but they don't know it, so.
Well, it seems like anytime that there's, a question about, what hoops do I have, fire do I have to jump through? There's that reluctance, right?
Yes, that is true.
and I would just stress right now, the program as it was existing prior to today's meeting is what really we're promoting. We can't do anything outside the industrial stuff until we make these changes.
We can approach that person, let them know that, and then once we get everything approved and get the ball rolling,
Then it's a marketing firestorm.
there we go, yes. yes.
And that marketing section can be filled up, right?
I do hope some of your competitors in the banking world do the same thing if it's less than 100,000.
Well, I was just sitting here thinking, when you say marketing firestorm, I would think once this is approved, we get something to all the lending institutions. And then, I mean, it sounds like overkill, but you could almost just take a flyer and drop it off at every single business.
Yes, yes.
And somehow we have to emphasize the rate, that prime -2, because if they're in business and if they're pretty sharp, they know they can't get that.
Mhm.
What if they call you and say they want to pay off a current loan that's at 8? What's your?
I'd be open to the conversation. I don't know that the policies and procedures would allow it. But again, that's a conversation
Oh, I know, that's why
that we should have, right? Is that what the original intent of council was when it was approved in 2012, 2013? Is that what we are dealing with today?
Yeah,
It's all good questions.
Yeah.
a lot of changes.
Yeah. And being able to make that ordinance fast enough to be able to go, so we don't have to keep changing it constantly.
But the ordinance, I think, unless we want to go back and dig it up, I mean, it's stuck, right? It's the way that it is, and that's fine. The policies and procedures in my mind are where we can be, as long as we're working within that program, we can be a little bit more flexible, but we're gonna have to get council's blessing on not only those changes, but then every case that comes before them and requests money, they're still getting another crack at it, so.
Right.
So,
So back to Mark's point. In the last couple of months, I've talked to two fairly new loan people in town. They have no clue of AIF.
Is that right?
Nothing. Nothing was left when they took over the job. Nothing was put forward. So
Well,
I think a lot of the institutions are not on the same page that we want to be on. So
I think it's even worse than that. I'm on the board and I would tell you, our institution isn't up to speed
okay.
and I'm on the board.
Yep.
So, I mean, imagine the ones that don't have board representation.
Right.
but unless we have something in hand, to your point, to educate them with and leave them with, because we don't want to give 10 pieces of information that are different to
Right.
10 different institutions.
Or businesses.
Yeah,
Maybe something like this, but geared towards the banks.
well, I'd be happy after the changes are made. As part of that marketing piece, I'd be happy to host all the banks. Have them come in and we'll run through a couple case scenarios of the program and how it works, and I'll feed them.
And
They usually like that.
maybe packets that have all the
Yeah.
applications in it.
Hopefully
And the-
Rita will have the pamphlets done, the updated versions, yeah. I mean, that'd be the time to do it.
it would.
That would be-
Have the newspaper there to put an article in at the same time.
Agree. Okay.
We've got the space.
I've got
To
the
do it.
space, yeah. Get a really cheap deal.
Yeah.
You, pretty good in the kitchen, huh?
I can be. Brownies I'm not too good at though.
Okay.
Turns out like cake.
Okay. Well, is there anything else that think of?
So we're just waiting till the next meeting to hash out the policies and procedures?
I think we should do it before that. If we don't do it till the next meeting, then that's to
2 more months, yeah.
2 more months.
And remember, we did want to bring in Foods Alive, Matt,
Right.
for a follow-up. So
That's right.
Could do it all at the same time, I guess.
Let's,
And if we don't do it before that, there's no way council's gonna have it approved this year.
right,
no.
right.
So,
Well,
And
let's be ready to approve or to present.
Yeah. I think
the next
a
meeting.
working group, whoever can show up, shows up, and,
Mhm.
we have some responsibility to put this money to use.
Right, yeah, exactly.
And as a new board member, it's kind of frustrating to not get anything done.
I agree.
Just my 2 cents.
Foods Alive presentation, typically when the companies come in, it is done during exec session.
Okay,
Obviously, we don't vote on anything, but to get the update from them, we typically do that in exec.
okey-doke. If there's nothing else, do I have a motion for adjournment?
Moved. Second.
Seconded, all in favor, please say aye. Aye. All opposed? Let's have it. Next meeting is, I don't have the date in front of me, but
And are you gonna be responsible to get a working group together? to
I will
get
do
this?
that, yes. Right now it'd be after 2:00, but after next Friday, it could be anytime. So
Is lawn mowing done for the season,
it
or
will be for me. I'm retiring again.
are you gonna have a party? I'll
Oh,
come.
no.
Huh?
next Friday, you're officially retiring?
Yeah, well, yeah, I might do a little part-time stuff.
Oh,
Oh, we'll see.
Okay.
Wait to see how it goes. Anyhow,
So
But yes, I will do that.
that meeting date right now, I have my calendar and I think it's right because Andy's name's tied to it, November 18th.
November 18th, the next meeting for the AIF. We will do our best to be able to vote on having the final copy ready to present to
Is that the
council.
same night of council?
It is. It's it would be the second meeting for council.
And you have still one meeting on the 2nd of December at least, right?
Right. There should be two. We'll meet,
2nd, 16th.
and we can do two readings.
I would say we would need to target that December 2nd date.
Okay.
That sounds odd saying that right now.
It's the.
I'm not ready. I'm not ready for December.
Oh, my God.
Oh, I guess you're right.
Yeah, if we're out.
Okay. We did adjourn. Thank you.
I'm just looking at the calendar though.
Thank you, Maria.